Vamfield House, a curious orphanage indeed. Its building resembles a grand mansion, the kind you'd expect to find nobles lounging in and sipping tea, but it is located deep in the woods, far from prying eyes. Its teachers and servants observe strict discipline, and 7 little boys make up its only orphans. It is its own little paradise, walled in by thick woods teeming with wolves. Thanks to their comfortable environment and the staff's devotion, the 7 boys of Vamfield House pass their days without wanting for anything. However, there seems to be an unwritten rule that such peace should never last too long, and some evil misfortune appears to be on the verge of landing on the doorstep of Vamfield House. Just as with any paradise, trouble always finds a way to sneak in, and thus begins the fall of the safe, isolated haven that is Vamfield. One chilly evening in the 1840s, the sound of a carriage echoes through the quiet night as it rolls through the grand gates of Vamfield House. Inside, 7 pairs of little feet thunder down the hallways of the orphanage, and we see the little boys making their way outside. They are excitedly rushing towards a man named Owen, who previously promised to bring them new snacks. When they make it outside, they see Owen and his companion, Dennis. The children excitedly ask him for the snacks he promised, and he greets them, addressing them as young masters. Moving on, he tells the boys that the snacks will have to wait, because he must see Ms. Marge first. The children groan in unison, giving him disappointed looks, and Gino says he doesn't want to wait. Owen laughs at the expressions on their faces, so his companion Dennis decides to cheer the children up. He tells them that he has learned the latest songs and games, and if they wait patiently, he will teach them in secret. Noah looks up at him excitedly, and Cheyenne giggles before revealing that they sang one of the songs he taught them last time in front of the teachers, and they got angry, saying it was crude. John screws up his face in disgust, and in a high-pitched voice he says, "How very vulgar." Cheyenne bursts out in laughter, screaming that John's teacher impression is spot on. The youngest, Noah, watches in astonishment, wondering who John just mimicked. Suddenly they are all interrupted by the voice of Ms. Marge as she calls out to Owen and Dennis. Owen tells the young masters that this is his cue to leave, and Dennis reminds them to wait patiently until he is done. Afterwards, he follows Ms. Marge and the other teachers into her study. The young masters wait in the hallway, keeping themselves busy in their own way. Cheyenne tells the others that he wishes Dennis and Owen could visit every day, or even live with them. Gino hopes they will come out and play with them soon. Helly stands apart from the other boys, watching them talk about Owen and Dennis. They say Dennis is so much fun and plays like a child. Also, he smells interesting. One of the boys wonders if he might be a wolf or a bear. Just then, Jaka's ball slips from his hand and plops to the ground, rolling toward the door of Ms. Marge's study. All 7 of them turn to watch it, each hesitant to get close to the door. Finally, Helly breaks away from them and walks over to pick up the ball. He pauses for a moment and stares at the door. Without thinking, he stretches out a hand to pull open the door, but he pulls away at the last minute because he is interrupted by Solon's voice. Solon tells Helly that he can't go in there because it's against the rules, and Cheyenne agrees with Solon, pointing out that they aren't allowed in Ms. Marge's room. Helly admits that he knows, and then asks the other boys if they aren't curious. Cheyenne looks at him in surprise, asking if it's about what the adults are talking about. Helly nods in affirmation, saying he gets the feeling that Miss Marge is hiding a lot from them, and sometimes he gets so curious about what she's thinking that he can't stand it. Soon enough, the boys forget all about that night in front of Miss Marge's door and return to life as usual. Owen and Dennis visit them in spring, summer, fall, and winter, bringing sweets and new songs with each visit. But after a while, things begin to change. It is one of these days that the change becomes apparent. Owen and Dennis arrive at Vamfield House, and the young masters watch them from the hallways of the mansion. They see Owen and Dennis discussing matters with one of the adults, and Owen announces to Dennis that it is time to leave. Just then, Dennis begins to cough, and Owen observes that his cough seems to have worsened, and Owen advises him to take better care, reminding him that if his hat comes off as he coughs, their conditions will be exposed. Afterward, they get into the carriage and ride away. The young masters watch sadly from the mansion. Gino tells the others that Owen and Dennis want to play with them, but it's the adults who won't allow it. He sounds thoroughly convinced, and Helly looks at him sadly. Several moments later, the sound of a carriage rolling through the gates attracts the boys' attention again, and they notice that Owen has come alone this time. Solon tells the others not to get their hopes up because he knows that Owen would not come to them. Gino stands up in frustration and announces to the others that they need to go to Owen. He suggests sneaking out the back window of the playroom since the wagon is always covered, and they can hide in there. The others think his plan is a good idea, and their eyes gleam with excitement. They sneak out and run across the ground through the snow, hiding under the tarp in Owen's wagon. They decide that once they are far enough away from Vamfield House, they will talk to Owen. Owen returns and begins to ride out of Vamfield without noticing the extra passengers in his carriage. Under the darkness of the tarp, the boys rustle around, wondering if they are past the gate. As they whisper to each other, Owen turns around. Only the person underneath the hood looks nothing like Owen.